What's up, everybody? James Attaway here. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to hold a microphone so that you don't make it sound bad, right? All the time, I have singers, I have speakers, I have people giving announcements, I have preachers. They're holding the microphone and they're messing it up for the rest of us just because they're holding it the wrong way. So today I'm going to show you how to not mess it up so that we can get the sound great and sounding right at the source. Now, I did this video live a few minutes ago, but I had really jacked up audio and video, so I decided to redo it. Now, the only unfortunate thing is that I don't have another ice cream cone to use to demonstrate, but we'll have to just imagine with me, and you don't get to watch me eat ice cream, while we go. So be sure to drop your comments down in the chat box. I'd love to hear from you and answer any questions if you're tuning in right now. And then also put your comments down below, and I'll answer those after the fact if you're watching the replay. So when we're holding a microphone, right, there's a nice little handle on this microphone. Take it off the stand here. You can see this gray part, and then you can see clearly there's a silver part right here where it's actually changing colors, right? And this is solid, and this has little holes in it, or this is like a wire mesh or a grill. And you want to hold the microphone where it's solid, not where the grill starts. So you can put your hand all the way up to here to this little line, but you don't want to go any further than that. And let me demonstrate why you don't want to go any further than that. As you start to cover up those holes, right, the sound starts to get really funky. And you can tell my voice is sounding funnier and funnier as I get closer to the top of the microphone. And as I hold it as if I'm some sort of rap star, right, this microphone now sounds really terrible. Even though I can't hear it right now, I'm pretty certain it sounds terrible. So what's happening is that the sound comes in from the back to reject certain frequencies as well. So when we cover that up, it's adding in extra frequencies from the front, and it just gets all messy and nasty. Now, the goal of the microphone is to pick up the sound transparently, or we want there to be no difference between what's coming into the microphone as what's coming out of the microphone and going to our console and then to our speakers. So I'm going to show you a graphic here on the right way to hold a microphone, right? You can see here that there's the hand is back behind the grill, or back behind the ice cream part of the ice cream cone, right? If you can imagine that top part is the ice cream, you wouldn't want to get your hand on that, right? That would be really gross, and then you need a wet wipe. If I've got any Monk fans on there, you can go ahead and give this a thumbs up if you need a wipe. So you can see the red and the black line down below. That's basically saying that every frequency is going to be even from the bottom end, the lowest frequencies, to the top end, or the top frequencies. And with your hand in these places, you're not changing the sound of the microphone at all by where your hand is. But if we switch to this picture here, you can see that as we put our hand around the microphone and even all the way over the microphone, you're affecting those frequencies up in the upper mids and the high frequencies, and that's what makes it sound strange, kind of like this right now. So I've got my hand over the microphone, and you can hear that it sounds strange, and that's what's happening right there. So that's the first thing, is don't put your hand on the ice cream. You can remember that. And if you're a pastor or a leader watching this because your sound tech shared it, please just build in the habits, get the muscle memory so that you don't, misuse this microphone, and you don't make it harder on them to do their job, because their job in presenting the gospel is making it sound clear. Your job is saying it clearly, but their job is to make sure that you're heard clearly. So you can work with them to help them do their job in the best possible way. So the next thing that you have to do is hold the microphone in the right place, right? I see a lot of people giving announcements just because they're not used to holding a microphone, or they haven't been trained, and they'll hold the microphone down here. Now, I've probably got to talk a little bit louder to get enough level for you, but you're also probably hearing more reflections from the room around me than you are the sound directly going into the microphone. This becomes a problem, especially when you're on a large stage, right? Right now I'm in my basement teaching studio, so there's walls really close. But when you have a PA and a loud sound system nearby, the louder you have to turn up that sound system, the more likely it is that it can feed back through this microphone. And the more times that it feeds back, then you get what's called a sound tech solo. And suddenly nobody's paying attention to the announcement that you're making. Nobody's paying attention to the point you're making in your sermon. They're turning around and looking at the sound tech like this. And you don't want to see the back of people's heads. Now, sound techs, they do want to see the back of people's heads, and they get really scared when we see the whites of people's eyes staring at us and we get a sound tech solo. So please don't do that with your microphone. Another thing that I see is people holding it out here, right? Your voice is not like magically appearing over on this side, right? It's coming straight out of your mouth. So you want to hold it close to your mouth. Now, the third thing that you need to pay attention to if you're a pastor, if you're making announcements, if you're an MC for an event, is the axis of the microphone, or where's the microphone pointing, right? The microphone wants to pick up sound directly where it's pointing, not off to the side. So let me demonstrate as I speak into the microphone, right in the front, and then as I tilt the microphone and start to talk into the side of it, you can tell again it starts to sound funky, right? And the funkier it sounds, the more likely people are to not pay attention to what you're saying, right? So again, keep the mic close to your mouth. Don't hold it here, and point it straight at your mouth, right? Now, you don't have to get all, straight up like this, right? Unless you're a singer. But hang on, singers, I'm going to get to you in just a minute. So those are the three things that I need you to do as a pastor when you're making announcements, when you're preaching with a handheld microphone. Please do this to make it easier on your sound tech. Now, one other thing that's really helpful is to have clear vision and direction for your sound team. And if you're new to sound systems, or if you didn't grow up as a sound tech before you became a preacher or a pastor or a leader, you might not know all the parameters that you need to do to even lead your team well. So I made this guide called How to Lead Your Church Sound Team, and I made a version of it just for pastors and leaders. You can check it out in the link down in the description below. I also made one for worship leaders and one for sound techs, and I tried to keep all the technical jargon out of it. So if you're worried about it going over your head, I tried to keep it really simple and really like surface level. How are we going to lead our team, even if you don't understand all the technicalities, even if you don't understand all the complexities of what goes into a sound system? You can still lead the team that's bridging the gap between what you're saying and what's being sung and played on the platform and how people are hearing it and perceiving it in the congregation. So you can check that out, download it, and I've got the link down in the description below. Now for singers. You've got a little bit more that you've got to do, right? You decided to learn how to sing, and part of learning how to sing isn't just getting the notes right, isn't just getting the words right, but it's sounding good while you're doing it, right? You're trying to breathe from your diaphragm. You're trying to get good support down here. You're trying to raise your soft palate. You're controlling the tone of your vowel sounds. But it doesn't matter how good your vowel sound sounds if you're singing into the side of the microphone and you sound funky over here, right? So try to avoid doing that and sing straight into the microphone. Now, one other thing that I really want you to pay attention to as a singer is what's called staying in the microphone, or using the proximity effect to your advantage. So what's proximity effect? What does that mean? Well, there's a low frequency boost that happens when you go close to a microphone. So as you're getting closer to the microphone, there's that low frequency boost, and it's actually intentional, right? We want to have that low frequency boost because it's hard to get the sound from the loudspeakers that are out in front of you. There are low frequencies coming back at you from that, and we want to turn that down going into your mic. So the proximity effect boosts the sound of the close sound, boosts the low frequencies on that so that we turn it down, and we're also turning down the noise. So your vocal sound gets a whole lot cleaner. Now, I've got the EQ on this, and let me show it to you real quick. I've got a high pass filter and an EQ on it. As I roll down the high pass filter, you can hear it getting beefier. And then as I turn off the EQ, you can tell it got a whole lot muddier, right? And this is what's happening when we're getting close to the microphone. You're hearing what's going on with that, and it gets fuller. Now, if I switch and show you this picture here, this is actually what's happening to the frequency response of actually the same microphone that I'm holding when you get close to it. The solid line is how it sounds at 2 feet, and the dotted line is how it sounds at 1 centimeter away, or 3/8 of an inch, right? And you can't really measure that, but if you looked at 100 hertz, that'd be about a 10 dB boost. At 200 hertz is about a 7 dB boost, right? You can just trust me on that because I've looked closely at it. But you can see there is a big boost by getting close to the microphone. But even if we didn't have the proximity effect and even if we didn't have the noise issues, why would we want to keep the microphone so close to our mouth, right? Wouldn't we want to just have the microphone sound a little bit more natural out here? And that would be well and good if we didn't have a loud PA to deal with, or if we didn't have a drum kit that might be really loud on stage. I mean, even if you've got your drums in an enclosure or in a drum booth, there's still going to be a lot of spill coming out onto the stage that you don't want getting into your vocal microphone. So that's why I have singers stay really close to the microphone. Now, the other thing that happens with this proximity effect is that sometimes when you sing loud, you want to back off the mic so that you're adjusting your dynamics a little bit. And this can be okay. You can do it the right way, but you can also do it the wrong way, right? The right way is to come back maybe about 6 inches off the mic when you're hitting those really big notes. That's not going to affect the proximity effect that much, but it is going to help attenuate some of the level or even out some of the level when you've really got to push hard to hit those notes, right? And I want you to be able to push hard to hit those notes because it takes all that air and all that breath support to really reach up there and hit those notes right and stay on pitch. That's really helpful. The next thing that's really helpful is, or the problem that can come up with that is that when you back off the mic too much, right, your voice is getting thinner because you're singing higher, and you're also, my EQ's still off. Let me turn my EQ back on real quick. So when you go back, you're getting thinner as you go further away, but you're also going higher. And when you're higher, your timbre tends to be brighter and harsher. So we've just taken something that's brighter and harsher naturally by the way that you're singing, and we've also made it thinner by undoing the proximity effect. So this makes you sound bad, right? It's not a problem that you're pushing for those notes. It's not a problem that you want to attenuate or reduce your dynamic range a little bit, but we don't want it to be harsh, so you've got to watch out for that. Now, the next thing that you might want to do is sometimes it can be helpful to go off to the side of the microphone a little bit when you're hitting those really big notes. And for this, or the right way to do this, I'm going to have you talk like a pirate, right? It's not Talk Like a Pirate Day, which for some reason Krispy Kreme likes Talk Like a Pirate Day, and they'll give you free donuts if you dress up like a pirate, which I may have partaken in more than once. But essentially, you're going to talk like a pirate and say, "Arr!" right? And whatever side of your mouth you tend to go toward, that's the side of the mouth that you're going to want to keep in the microphone as you're turning away. Because when you turn away from the microphone, some of those high frequencies, instead of going straight into the mic and giving you this nice, like in your face, present feeling, they're going to go away. So if I talk over here, right, you can hear how the microphone is not picking up the high frequencies of my voice anymore, right? It got a lot duller and darker. So when I turn it back to right in front of me, we're getting a lot more of that nice present. You get that airy feeling. You get that presence, right? Like it's feeling like it's close to you. So when you go and push for those big notes, right, you're going to turn to the side and you're just going to send the sound this way on the full force of those big high notes when you're really pushing for it, or those accents when you're really having to go for it. So the microphone is missing all the energy, but you're still getting all the high frequencies that sound good when you're turning away. So talk like a pirate, figure out which side you want to go to, and then go off, 45 degrees from there. Now, I did have a girl that somehow got it in her head that when she sang and she wanted to sing really loud, that she should sing off to the side of the mic and like down here, right? So that she's singing way over here, but the microphone's back here. And you can hear just when I'm talking that sounds really bad. And so it just sounded really bad, and there was nothing I could do to convince her not to do that. So the other thing is to stay teachable and to respond to the people that are actually mixing you right now. If they have some advice on how to use your mic, and you've got some habits that you've formed that are not serving you well and not serving them well, listen to the people that are actually mixing you on a day-to-day basis. And they're actually having to deal with your mic technique and be able to adjust accordingly, right? Just because it worked one time, or it worked for some other engineer or some other microphone in some other circumstance, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work right now. So you can adjust your habits that way as well. So we've talked like a pirate. We've talked about big notes, and you've seen the graphics. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you are watching this and you're a sound tech, be sure to share this with your worship team. It can be super helpful because everything starts at the source, right? You cannot make it sound better than what it sounds like when it gets captured by the microphone. And so you want to use it the right way. One final word I'll leave you with, and maybe you can clue your pastors into this because they probably stopped watching a long time ago, is that if you've got a wireless microphone, the wire or the antenna for that wireless microphone is on the bottom of the microphone, right? I'm on a wire right now, so I don't have to worry about the wireless antenna or anything like that. But when you put your hand all the way over the antenna, that can interrupt the antenna's radio signal between that and the receiver or the antenna where you have it on the other end. So that's one thing you really need to be careful for and watch out for, is making sure that your antenna isn't covered up, because when you get dropouts, when someone's singing or when someone's speaking, right, it might be their fault on stage, but again, everybody's craning their neck to look at you for another sound tech solo. So that's it for today. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit like. If you're new here and haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and mash that subscribe button. I'm coming out with new videos, trying to publish every week, but I'm at least publishing every 2 weeks. And I'm here to help you make worship sound great at your church, make every worship mix enjoyable for you. And so I'm coming out with great new content all the time. So thanks for watching. Mash subscribe, check out other videos, and we will see you guys next time. All right, peace out.